Aloha, peoples. What's crack-a-lackin'? Today is really cool. I get to do something that's fun. Haven't had a guest on the show for a while because I've been running around traveling and haven't spent the time to book a lot of guests. So super stoked when my homie says, hey, let's do this. Let's do a talk about this new thing I'm working on. And I'm like, bet, that'll be interesting, right? Because I like to bring in people that are doing what we are doing for the simple reason that you can see that you're not by yourself. You're never by yourself. You are not alone. There's always people out here doing things and trying things. And so, yes. Now, this is going to be a little bit tough for some of y'all, but Paul just put it in here. This is the LGL stream. I am not answering Ecamm questions. And the reason why I say it is going to be tough for y'all is because when y'all see our faces, you might be tempted to ask us Ecamm questions. No! Don't do that. We're not ready. Don't tell Katie we're on the clock, but we're not on the clock, okay? So, don't be coming over here asking us no Ecamm questions. We are going to be talking to the one and only Caleb, a.k.a. Caleb. I get to call them Caleb. You don't. I'll beat you up. As you guys know, Caleb is partner in crime over in the Ecamm marketing squad. And yeah, like I'm just super excited because what you might not know, besides all of the Ecamm stuff, Caleb has been helping streamers of all sizes do things, get brand collaborations, manage, the growth of their career. So kind of like that old TV show on HBO called Arliss, or in Ballers where they have a sports agent. You can call them a sports agent for streamer type nerds. So let's give it up for Caleb. Yay!
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with the chaotic and only Doc Rock.
100% chaotic. That is how I roll. Sandy, I want you to pay close attention to Caleb's hair. Tell me it is not dope. Sandy is our environmental coffee house. So, yes, it kind of matches the logo. Man, I did something with my comments today where I changed the thing where it automatically sizes because, Ken's mucking with stuff. And now every time I press it, it just lands where it lands and it doesn't land anywhere I tell it to land, which is kind of impressive altogether to me. Right, so let's try. Let's press on James. Look, it just comes there. Normally, I had the box like this wide. And let's put us here. All right, let me stop tweaking. I'm going to stop tweaking because it kind of doesn't matter. Sandy has lavender hair. Lavender is my color. If I had hair, I would make it lavender, as I call it, after the famous boxer, Lavender Holyfield.
You could do your beard.
Oh, God. It's on like Donkey Kong. What's up, PK? All right, so let's get into this. Yes, first of all, how you been? It's been a minute since we've been, Cleveland? The last time I saw you?
Yeah. Did we do Cleveland last or was it in Boston last?
Oh, it was Boston last. That's
Boston,
right.
Yeah.
When you guys had the haunted house.
Oh my gosh, we were staying in this old rickety-rackety beach house that was 100% haunted. The doors barely locked, it was very, very scary. The heat didn't work, and it had just turned from fall to winter, so it was so cold. Oh gosh, anything was happening in that house.
You know why? Because I remember when Luis and I was driving there. Luis was driving. I got my camera out the window. I'm just shooting pictures of that marshland. The marshland looked super dope with the clouds, and it was kind of a little bit raining. And then we pulled down that street. And I guess a couple houses away, there's the giant dark gray one that's up on the hill that just looks like the door is going to open and some dude that looks like, Paul Duncan with half skeleton face comes out. I was like, oh, God, this neighborhood is creepy. And then Luis goes, this is the house. And I went, oh, nah, this is more creepy. It's like a light blue. Grandma, come and get some cookies and die.
Literally. It was very much not what the Airbnb photos were giving.
Oh, it was so great.
It was dark. And then we're going to see each other again in Boston in 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Yeah, I'm going to do the Vegas thing first and then pop over there after. So super excited about that. Okay, otherwise we would just sit here and clown. Let's get to work. So Ari from Entourage. That's what I was trying to remember, Rich. Thank you for that. So I am super, super curious about the topic today because something that I have been kind of mucking with, and it's really funny. I have a meeting with Judy on Friday. No, Thursday. I have a meeting with Judy on Thursday, and it's like, do I want to do this just as a LinkedIn thing, or should I do it, as a separate thing? And it's kind of great. We recently talked about Substack. Gretchen has been having some cool experience with Substack, and so yeah, I'm just here for it because what we do with our, company not to be named. Marketing and email list, you do a fantastic job. So you're kind of the perfect person to talk to about this. So what is HelloStreamer? Let's start there.
Yeah, so HelloStreamer is a company that I own. It started at the beginning of last year as a live streaming talent management company, specifically for small to mid-sized live video creators. We work primarily with people that create content on Twitch, and that are primarily in marginalized or underrepresented communities. At the beginning of this year, we actually started well, I'll take a step back and say that in our first year, we were able to work with some really cool brands like Fenty Skin, Anastasia Beverly Hills, Cocalero, and really get some really cool partnerships off the ground. But what I learned over the course of the year was that like none of this is sustainable if live streamers aren't learning how to do it themselves. And I can only help so many people at a time, without creating an educational resource for people. So my focus at the beginning of this year shifted from the hands-on management into a hands-on educational approach. And my goal with all my creators is to be an open resource for them so that they can teach themselves out of management and into being their own manager if they want. And then to create resources that are free for other live creators. So yeah, that's kind of the full 12-month quick pitch of what HelloStreamer is and has become.
Okay, I'm so glad you're able to do that. And here's why. I was just talking to our gold member group on Saturday in class, and I was like, I had just come back from, social media marketing world, right? And while I was there, people would stand up and have Daryl Eves or Pat Flynn or Sean Cannell or some chick, Diana something. They'd come to the mic and the person would say, okay, tell me a little bit about your channel or what you do. And they would go, and I'm like, bruh, like you have only seconds to talk to somebody that would probably cost you a minimum of $500 an hour to talk to. Some of them is like $1,000 an hour. And you're going to get like a 10-minute session with them and you spend 4 of it trying to say what you do. I love
Nailing
the
your
fact
elevator pitch.
that even with a hardcore ADD brain, you can spit out your elevator pitch like that. And it's my group. Everyone in every one of us is ADD. I'm pretty sure. I think maybe Paul Duncan might be the only one that's not on the list. But I'm trying to tell him, you got to have that pitch, man. So people in the chat, please have your pitch on point. Practice it. Say it in the bathroom. Say it in the shower. Like you need to be able to spit it out real quickly. So thank you for doing that. I don't know, Paul. Am I? Anyway, so yes, I really love that. And I liked what you said too about how, in order for this to be sustainable, Jesus, in order for it to be sustainable, people need to basically figure this out for themselves or be able to keep up with it and grow. So, yeah, very good point there. What would you say is the primary reason for doing it the newsletter way as say opposed to a different way?
Yeah, so the reason I started with a newsletter approach for education, is because I feel like it translates into the different learning styles really well for creators that live stream on different platforms. So, I mean, I know the Let's Get Live group is in Discord. It's really easy for me to translate a newsletter into like daily Discord posts where I'm just taking a section of each paragraph from each week and sending it into a Discord channel. But then also there's an entire audience that gets email on their phone every day, and is reading there. And then there's an entire audience that would prefer to read it on something like Twitter. My newsletter tone is just really me, so I curse a lot and make jokes a lot in my newsletter because these topics, all of the information that's in my newsletter is information you can find and research on your own. But the reason that you don't is because it's really daunting.
Right.
And so the entire tone of my newsletter is to make this like stupid, simple, and feel like really friendly. So there'll be F bombs in my newsletter, and there'll be like dumb memes and just completely inappropriate stuff for a LinkedIn channel. But it's just kind of more of who I am and writing from my like personal tone of voice, because I find that that's like the only way to make it less scary.
Yeah, something that I've been thinking about for my side of the newsletter thing is like in the last 2 weeks, I've had two things that I've wanted to send out as a newsletter, but then I'm like, I don't have the time to stop and write it because I've been stupid busy with the travel and getting ready for the next, leap show that we're doing. And I'm in some kind of, personal development training stuff right now. So it's been really messing with my brain. What do you feel about doing remember I always use this as an example. It might be a stupid example now, but do you remember the TLC blogs in the middle of trading spaces where they would just pop up in the laundry room and talk about, man, I hope Gretchen's not, effing up my man cave. I like my TV set up away. I like my game station, but her with her artist background and the Pacific Northwest, like wilderness bitch look. Like I hope she doesn't do something to my thing that makes it like super Washington State. Like I need to have that Hawaii vibe. You know what I mean? You just do that.
Yeah.
Gretchen, please don't hit me. But and I picked on Gretchen instead of Elaine because Elaine might actually hit me. So it's just that you would do that little side piece. How do you feel about recording it as a video like that, using whatever to transcribe it? You know what we're going to use, and then sending it with the actual video there, say hosted as an unlisted clip.
Yeah, so for me, what I do for my newsletter that's not how I start, but it's how I plan to evolve my newsletter strategy in the future. So I think if you're starting with video content and creating newsletter content from there, it should be super simple. What I would say is like take that transcription that you're using and put it into ChatGPT and ask it to make a sentence outline structure of what you just said in your video, because from that point, I've found that writing emails based off an outline is a much easier way to get emails that people are actually going to read. Like no one is going to read your email if it's if it's 1,000 word blog post, 10,000 word blog post. Like,
Correct.
you
Yes.
don't go into your email to read something that is a blog post. You go to like Substack for that. Like if that's your gig, find your platform, and it's not in someone's Gmail. So taking a sentence outline, like the last 3 weeks, I've sent out 3 newsletters all about brand outreach, and I started that. That's all one sentence outline from 3 hours of like Harvard research studies that I reviewed, like, and I've just broken them down into a beginning, middle, and end. So doing that with your video will probably result in easier writing for a newsletter than maybe doing the way that I do it. But to each their own. Every brain works different.
or in my case, not at all. All right, so I like this. I like this idea of the sentence outline format because, in a way, I think the other cool thing about the sentence outline format is you can take individual sections, and after ChatGPT has broken it out, you can tell it to take this sentence and write me 3-4 different Twitter posts that's basically the same sentence written slightly different just because Twitter, right? Actually, Twitter, you can post the same thing over and over again. Nobody really cares. But in other platforms like LinkedIn or whatever, you can drip it out as the same things phrased a bunch of different ways, right? And
So what I
chat,
like to
yeah.
do with ChatGPT for social posts is so I'll get the sentence outlines and then I'll put it together into my newsletter, because I add just like little touches of tone of voice in between each like piece to transition it into like a full written post. Then I'll put the written post back into ChatGPT and I'll tell it to look at whatever Twitter account I'm tweeting from and use that as the tone of voice for the tweets that it's going to be creating. And then I'll say, create 5 social media posts with a strong hook, a call to action that encourages people to sign up for my newsletter at this link, and 2 relevant hashtags. And then it will spit out all of that along with the content that I've already given it from the newsletter into a much more sustainable way. Like I don't have to sit here and copy and paste and workshop for 5 minutes when ChatGPT can give me in 3 minutes 10 posts.
That's good. That's super good. I've been looking at some of the sort of AI tweet things because, yeah, Twitter's such a weird animal right now, but I feel like it's actually having a little bit of fight back right now, which is weird. And what's going to be funny is all the people that bailed because, yes, dude is a legitimate like donkey appendage. However, if the platform, corrects itself, all the people that bailed, they're going to lose that 10, 15 years that they had of I was here and, doing things and I built a little bit of clout here. They're going to have to start all over from scratch. So I didn't bail, even though I kind of want to at times. But yeah, I've been seeing there's some real interesting, like, AI tweet things out there. But I consider myself pretty ChatGPT gangster. I haven't seen a thing that tells it to read your Twitter account to get your voice. I've
Yeah,
seen
so
AI tweet things that do it, which makes sense because they obviously use the same API, right?
so for another company where I work for ChatGPT, I told it to analyze our Twitter there and use that tone of voice to craft tweets and hooks and call to actions. And that's how I generated like a large lump sum of content for an upcoming event.
That's interesting event. I just made a commercial for that. That is so crazy. And it's funny. Like for me, people don't really understand like the dopeness that this chat gpt thing is right now. I have Jasper, have had it forever, and I still use it, but on the fly when I'm just moving really really quickly without having to use any like special commands or whatever, I just gave it the outline of what I wanted it to say for the commercial, and I said, make sure you hit these marks. Make sure you include, these 4 people. And I was like, go. And it blessed it so much better than what I wrote. Like, I literally took my outline plus Katie's outline and then the names of the people that I wanted to highlight because I had their pictures. Only reason why I had their pictures already on deck from doing interviews with them or whatever. And I was like, go. And then spit it out. And I was like, this is perfect, but it doesn't read like me. All I did was bring it into Google Docs again and fix the parts that didn't read like me. I just had to go back and just rewrite it to my way. And then, boom. It's such an amazing, incredible tool. Anyway,
It
enough of
really
that.
is.
So, since we're on that subject, before we switch, any other cool things that you could think of that you would want to share with how you use, say, ChatGPT or generative AI to help you push out the newsletter?
So that's how I'm doing it now. What I will probably utilize it for in the future. In the next few months, I'm gonna start reaching out to some of the contacts I have at like larger merch companies like Fourth Wall, partner companies that I've worked with in the past, like skincare companies, and kind of using ChatGPT to create a list of AI questions for those video interviews that I'll do. And then those interviews will be private. So like paid newsletter subscribers can access the video recording, but it'll be transcribed and included in like actual weekly newsletter content.
Okay, so let's talk. It's funny because I'm writing this down. I don't have to finish writing it now because you said it and you finished. um, what what would you say are some of the key things to think about when doing a paid newsletter?
Yeah, so the paid newsletter I think is really important from the perspective of value adds, right? So like the future paid model for my product will be less of a paid newsletter subscription and more of a paid membership subscription. So if you pay for the paid newsletter, it comes with like monthly private calls where I'll be able to like roast your pitch deck essentially to a company, or like roast your cold emails to a company, and kind of help you workshop those. But then it also comes with like video tutorials, and as I create templates and other like freebie slash microtransactions, those will be available for free to people that are part of memberships versus being able to buy it at a one-time fee. So the long-term thought process is that a membership should really add value in a way that wouldn't if you were not part of the membership. I think if it's more costly to not be a part of the membership than your membership should exist. Does it make
Correct.
sense? Like
Yes.
if you are missing out on so much value because you aren't included in the paid side of things, then you should have a paid side of things.
Super smart. Super smart. You know, I think one of the things that creators often miss is you don't have to have a massive amount of people in your membership to make it function. But how do I explain this in the most logical way possible? Without having some sort of membership platform or product that you sell, a lot of times it feels like you're creating into the air, and therefore you will let it slide because the weight of not doing it isn't there. Okay. Don't know where that came from.
They agree. They agree.
There's a ghost in the basement. However, when there is, I guess skin in the game is right, but I don't want it to sound that way. But when there's skin in the game, like I have to get this content out, or my people are going to be, let down, or my people are going to come for me, or they're going to think I'm not okay. When you can get to that particular level where it almost causes you pain not to create content, you'll create content. And I like to have your thoughts on what are some of the ways that can get people to that level so that it's not so easy to be like, this week I'm not going to do nothing. I'm going to sit back and I don't know, barbecue a spinach leaf or something. I said that because Kat is
Yeah.
here.
I mean, I think for me, I struggle a lot with being like, oh, is it worth like educating people and helping people, like, and providing my knowledge to the community that I care about, the creator economy? Like, I know the answers that a lot of people are missing, but like, are people listening to me? Is it still worth it for me to show up for them? Um, and a way that I fight that as a lot is right now, newsletter wise, I'm batching content. So instead of writing one newsletter every week, I'll write 4 newsletters in a day. And I do that by doing an outline and researching for like 2 to 3 hours and creating a long enough outline to where I know that this could be turned into 4 emails. And then instead of like feeling like it's an afterthought, I go in and I create the fun things the day of. So like I put little memes that I create inside of it. So like on one of my last emails. It was all about keeping your brand outreach simple. So I'm just like making jokes about the band Kiss and like like just stupid things, or like I'll go in and just do a horrible Photoshop job of like an iMessage chat bubble that doesn't make really any sense to anyone but me, and it makes me laugh and I'm still having fun with it. And so those are the ways that I'm like, oh, I'm still gonna send this out because it's like, who cares if there's 11 people who don't get my joke? It's for me. Like, like there's the Kiss thing is like just a really ugly Canva graphic. It's like keep it simple, stupid, and then underneath it says, "This photo is not used with permission. Please don't tell them."
That's dope.
I'm like,
That
so
is
do
so
not tell
dope.
them. If you know them, don't say nothing. I think there's another one in there that's like a weird like emoji message at the
Fine.
bottom. I don't
Why go
know.
to Ted Lasso?
Oh, if you want to include Ted Lasso, or like that one, like at the beginning, it's like, write emails that fucking work, and it's just like, no, that's probably
I like
you
how she's with
thinking
the talk
about.
to the hand.
That's probably you thinking about sending, Mama, let's research. If you don't know who you're sending the email to, then how are you gonna write the email, baby? Like, let's
Right,
figure it
right,
out. So those are the
right.
things that like I take the outline that's like all research for me. Oh, like that one's really funny. I'm like the most embarrassing email of my young professional life. It says, I think it says, please work with me. I have a fat ass or something like that. Like,
Yeah, yeah. But no, this is good because in a way, like, okay, here's one of the things that I notice when I see people either working with brands or doing like a brand sort of sponsored content, especially on IG. IG is messy out there in these streets. I'm like, I can't believe the brand is paying for this because it was really bad. And I think people are rushed to get to that without having the skill to pay the bill, if you will, right? Nothing worse. You've all been to a restaurant where you had a waiter or waitress that's so horrible that it wasn't that they're having a bad day. You just know that they're horrible. And you wonder how they got that job kind of thing. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've always avoided sort of brand deals because I am going to come at it the way I used to come at it for producing commercials for companies like Hawaiian Airlines or like, Hyundai Auto Group. It's not Hyundai, by the way, it's Hyundai. Things like that. So I'm going to bring, I guess Jared is probably in this. I don't think Jared's here. Jared's going to be the same way. Like, Jared's a professional filmmaker. So if he makes an ad or a commercial, it's going to have a little bit of that to it. And it's like, yo, am I going to ruin everybody else if I make one of these? Because I'm going to come at it from that thought process, right? So I like the fact that you're saying, yeah, like, let's research this. Let's see what their audience about, what they're really looking for, things of that nature. I only had
also
one
like,
decent one in the last year, and it was just beautiful. But I got a chance to work with Augmonk because Jeff just liked the video that I did randomly, and he was like, "Yo, can I use this on our channel and stuff like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, bet," because I just like what he does over at Augmonk. They overstyle simple things. Just over design them, and I just love that. It's a very Japan stationary style company. So yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and like, the reality is, if you are trying to charge a premium price for a premium product and work with brands who aren't reaching out to you and you're trying to reach out to them, if you aren't coming correct, how can you justify that cost?
Correct.
Like, if you're trying to charge $6,000 for a video and you're recording on an iPhone 13, be for real. Like, that's like, if you're not even gonna set up a ring light, be so honest with yourself. Are you really worth $6,000? Like, I don't care how many followers you have if like you're representing my brand in a bad light from the very first email outreach that you do to me, let alone like how your content's being produced. Are you worth my brand's investment?
Correct. That's super funny. Is you are really be doing it in a bad light if you're using a ring light. It's super funny because I think that so many people. I think there's a lot of people out there who are at the level where they probably could start to reach out to brands. And I also think that there's a certain amount of fear involved with it for not knowing what to charge or whatever. But you'll get that. You'll figure that out. The way I come to grips with, am I charging enough? If they answer yes too fast, you undersold that sucker. If they go, oh, yeah, we were thinking more like, and then they give you a different answer, then you probably were charging too much, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's like, okay, I like where this is. Let's see with this particular case, and if it goes, we'll come up with more, or we'll make adjustments accordingly. You're probably in the right ballpark because you're just a little bit more than they expected to pay, but they're still willing to take a chance. But 9 times out of 10, they say, "Yep, right away, you effed up." And I think there's still people out there doing videos for like $250, and I'm like, please don't be that thirsty. That doing a video for like $250 is mad thirsty. You're not much different than the people in your neighborhood under the bridge in the seedy part of town.
But I would say that the caveat there is how you leverage that $250 sponsorship.
Correct.
If if you really want to get into creating liquor content or like mixology content, and you get approached by an alcohol brand that is at the very tail end of their budget and just wants to see if you can work with them for the last little bit of the budget they have, like if you really turn it out for $250 and make a great case study out of that, it's way easier to slide into the DMs of like an Altos tequila or like any other like major liquor brand, because you can say, oh, look, I worked with this brand on a small budget. Here's what I was able to create with them. Here's the results I provided for them. If you worked with me at my original rates, like we could easily triple this investment.
Oh, you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that? Okay. Yes, like if you set yourself up to come out of it, okay, here's the catch-22, and I wonder how you approach this. Especially back in my DJing days, brands would love to come at you with like, oh yeah, so if you pull this off, like it'll be a great exposure, and we'll write you, good recommendations so that you can get other gigs. And I used to just explain to them I was a paramedic in the Army, and believe it or not, one of the number one killers of soldiers isn't necessarily bullets; it's exposure. And they'd be like, "Yeah, what?" I was like, "Yeah, see, we live in Hawaii, but like when we go to somewhere where it's cold, people freeze to death, or we go in the desert, they die of heat stroke. Exposure is not going to help me, fam. Like I'm good at exposure. So like, how do you help companies understand that they're not going to pull one over on you with the whole exposure trip?"
I mean, a lot of that is knowing your value, what you're delivering to them, and saying like, unfortunately, like I'm not at a place where my content needs additional exposure. Like I'm not taking unpaid opportunities. However, like if you do have a small budget, I'm a really big fan of your brand, and I would love to work with you on some like level. So if you could tell me what your budget is, I could come up with a list of deliverables that would fall into that category. And then I would be also happy to like take a recommendation. Like once
Love
I
that.
deliver the content that is to your satisfaction,
Love that.
because I will do that. Like so, but I would say a larger caveat that goes with that is if you're going to work for something that is less than your desired rate, you cannot allow yourself to become unmotivated when you've signed the contract. You cannot deliver content that is lower value than what you would deliver at your full rate. You have to deliver your 100% best effort. It's like showing up to a job interview in like whatever clothes you rolled out of bed in just because they pay $7 an hour, but you still need the money. Like, you don't build a resume with chicken shit gigs, you know?
Yo, so good. So good because I feel that is so important, right? if you are a person that say charges $150 an hour to do something, and someone's like, I got this gig and you have to take it because a family friend or whatever, for whatever reason, you get stuck taking this gig that may be only like $50 an hour, you have to still work at it with the same fervor and intent the way you would work at it if it was 150, 300, gig. Because if you don't, that's the story that gets told, right? The one when you mail it in, that's the story that gets told. We can't get into specifics, but there was a person at one point in time that somebody that we knew worked with, and we all thought, oh my goodness, this person is banger. Can't wait to see what they do. They are so good at what they do. And then they took on the gig and they mailed it in. And we all had that taste in our mouth like, oh, wow, that wasn't, ooh. It's just like when you get a hot one and you get back and found out they can't smash. It was very much, I say shit like that. It's my stream, damn it. I'm not working at the other place right now. I definitely say shit like that. No, it was painful. And I was like, I wonder if they're okay or something, because it was so opposite of what we expected that it was almost painful. And it wasn't even like we gave them a tiny budget either. We gave them a decent budget, and they did not do anything like what they said. Yeah, so you don't want to find out that that titanium piece that you got was actually stainless steel.
Right. It's a concept of every piece isn't going to be a portfolio piece, but you should try to make every single thing worth being in your portfolio.
100%. And this is Aubrey said this is very cool, and I want to make sure I cover this because at Apple, this was us. We heard it every single day in our morning meetings. It was like it's part of the company, right? We always wanted to under promise and over deliver. So, for instance, you guys have all taken something to the Genius Bar. They'll tell you it's going to take 5 days to fix. And you'll get the Starbucks, you get your coffee, you're just like slurping, and oh, by the way, we're finished. What? You said 5 days? Yeah, we did it already. And you just come back. And people are cool with that. But if you said, oh, I could do it for you, go to Starbucks and grab a coffee, and then you're done, your coffee, your Impossible Burger, and you come back and they still ain't done, now you're pissed. And for no reason, just because they didn't set the expectation properly. So expectations is everything. It really does make a big difference. Getting back into the whole newsletter side of things, how would somebody basically go about finding the newsletter and getting signed up? Because Aubrey said she wants all of your emails.
Yeah, so to sign up for the newsletter, you can go to HelloStreamer.live. And if you want to see the newsletters that you missed, I haven't set up an email flow for new registers to people to get those. But you can go to HelloStreamer.live/profile. And that will show you all of the newsletters that I have published. There's 3. It's the first 3 in a series of brand outreach newsletters. And this week, we'll be talking about following up after you sent an initial brand outreach message. And it'll also come with a free Notion template where you have access to basically input the information that you're sending to, kind of like all of the research that you're doing, and then track where everything's at in the process. Are you on your first follow-up? Have they responded and you're waiting to get on their calendar? Where are you at in the process? That will be included. It'll be available for free, but then there'll also be an option to donate for it. But the minimum will be like $0 if you want to buy it, I believe.
Super cool. Any dreams on making a starting your newsletter style course or something?
I haven't thought, not that I haven't thought, I haven't gotten to the point of course creation. A lot of my goal right now is to keep as much high value information as free as possible, so that I can create a high value cohort where people are getting basically the feedback that I give the creators that I manage in a once a month type session. However, there is a referral program to the newsletter that's set up. So right now, because our Discord's in early access, if you refer 3 people, you get early access to our private Discord community. You would be the first person if you refer 3 people. And then every 12 referrals you do, you get a $10 Starbucks gift card. When you hit
Nice.
100 referrals, you get an espresso machine. So
Like the one they
big
gave
ups.
us.
Not like the one they gave us, like a brand name Nespresso machine, but every 12 recurring for perpetuity is a $10 Starbucks gift card.
Nice. You know what's really cool about the way that you're doing it is I saw something recently, and I strongly believe this because it's kind of sort of how I did it by accident. I had no plans or strategy. It just happened this way. But I saw something recently that stated if you're giving all the high value stuff away, right? Also, of course, you hear certain people say, give away the info, sell the implementation, right? That's why I asked about the course. However, I also saw something recently that stated in the way the modern internet works, every time you posit an ask, your social credit goes backwards a little bit. So you're giving, you're building up, right? You're building up a score. You're all the way up to here. And it's like, man, this person gives out such dope info, and they're always so free and handy with their information. I just want to follow them and support them. And then all of a sudden, you say, hey, I'm selling XYZ. Bop, it drops back to 0. And then now you got to fill it back up again. So if you know this and you're constantly giving, the asks don't seem so cheesy. But we've definitely seen the creators where every other week they're selling another new thing, right? And as they're selling another new thing, it like, oh my God, they're forever like selling me another course. And I feel like there's no end, right? And so we've seen those creators as well. Some of them do really well for themselves, but that means that they must be bringing really high value in those courses, because otherwise, I don't know. So what are your thoughts on that?
When I was able to travel to the Courageous Content Live Summit in Newcastle upon Tyne over in the UK last year, there was a really strong email marketing session from creators called Robin Kennedy, and they used a phrase or a metaphor rather of, you don't want to sell someone, or you don't want to give away the island, you want to give someone the yacht. Because
Ooh,
when you give someone the yacht, they have the ability to get where they want to go, but only you can sell them the island that they want to be on. When you give them the island, they can find any way to try and get there. It's harder to sell a yacht than it is to sell an island. So I'm always thinking about giving people the vehicle to their success and then helping them see the success through by paid opportunities.
correct.
So that's how I'm approaching any like paid content that comes through a newsletter. I would say that a lot of that means like, which island am I like selling per se, and I think that there are a lot of people who have overvalued courses, and they don't do much to provide social proof that their course is a 4-figure course worth taking. Like, I would, if I'm going to spend 4 to 5 figures on a course, I'd rather get a certificate from Cornell's online university, like for PR. Like, I'm not going to spend 4 figures
Because you'll have a
on
thing
a
that says
non-college
Cornell
credit.
PR, right?
You're right. Like I'm not going to spend that much money if I'm not going to get like an accredited thing. So a lot of and because my audience is small to medium sized creators, if I were to create a course, I'd be creating courses that are part of a membership program or part of a like long-term community investment,
Yeah.
because the cohort courses is what is I find success in personally, as well as it's what the community that I'm creating is about, like finding success as small to medium sized creators and using other creators to leverage your success.
Yeah, I get requests to do course all the time for various different topics, and I personally like even teaching in the cohort format. I just did my mastering interviews course back in January, and the first cohort there were just a bunch of amazing people, and they pushed each other. I think I've definitely got the courses where you're sitting at home by yourself watching a bunch of videos and trying to come up what to do next, and to do next is go pack another bowl. Like it's not to do what I'm supposed to do. But like in a cohort environment, there's a certain level of coopetition and you want to make sure you're putting out the best stuff so you can help the next person. Like I want, Aubrey to feel seen and represented and all of the above as she's, one of the partners in the cohort. And I'm more than happy to spend time with her through the process of teaching her and her gigantic notepad because she uses the big yellow one. um, you're you're also reinforcing what you're learning. So I don't know. I just think cohorts are better. I love what Pat is doing right now. Pat is doing a bunch of micro courses, almost a la master class, where you just subscribe to it and you get whatever comes out. But he hasn't a lot of cohort stuff in there yet. But even as I was talking with him last week, that's something that they're looking into, is adding a little bit more sort of cohort oriented things in there. But yes, your analogy of the boat and the yacht is freaking fantastic. It reminds me of sort of back in the day, you would always get the concept of, all right, for instance, you can go anywhere and buy a camera, right? But to really know how to use it, you got to go through. Rick Salmon says you have to look at 10,000 photos and take another five. When you've done both of those things, you can probably call yourself a photographer. And a lot of people nowadays just buy a camera and call themselves a photographer, but they haven't gained the critical skills to look at a photo or go generate something similar. I just watched a killer documentary on copyist. And what it was, the guy was going into the Met, and Met has these sessions. Gretchen can correct me if I say anything crazy. They have these sessions where artists come in and set up their easel, and they stand right in front of one of the European impressionists, and they basically copy that picture onto their easel. And he said you can't really be an artist until you can copy, you can paint a pretty decent copy of something that's already exists, right? So if you were going to go do, like the Blue Dog or something, when you can pull that off, then you can probably go create your own with that level of base knowledge. And I think in a way, that's one of the things about cohort courses that makes it work, because you are doing it together and you're basically copying what the teacher or the instructor is giving you. When you can prove that out, then you'll be more likely to actually be able to do it on your own. That's what I was trying
And
to
for me too, creating courses and content around partnerships in the live video space. When I create and have a cohort and community that I know is doing things the way that brands want them done, it's a lot easier to pitch that cohort and community to a brand to be like, oh, these people have gone through my like case study course, my like video production for ad course, my like newsletter, like all of these like courses that I've created, and they're like some of my top students. I would love to give you their names so you can keep them on your roster at your agency for like future people to work with that are easy to work with, like know their rates, know their stuff, and like can deliver every time. Like that's
Yes.
the kind of thing that I want to create out of a cohort because it becomes that, right? Like it becomes it's a self-managing roster of creatives where I can say, oh, like, hey, Fenty Skin, like, I know we haven't talked in a bit, but I have these 200 live video influencers who work in X, Y, and Z niche. And if you have a product launch coming up, like, it might be worth looking at a live video launch.
Dope. All right. So one last question for you. What do you think is next in the sort of influencer/influencer marketing space? What should people
That's
be
a,
paying attention to?
I think that's a good question.
I tend
For
to ask good
me,
questions. I teach a whole class on it. Sorry. I couldn't help myself.
I think that I mean, it's kind of hard to say for sure, but I think that with the evolution of short form video, you will see the continued evolution of live video continue to domineer. I think that shoppable video will dwindle and then have a resurgence in like 2 years. So I would say that that's kind of like trend like down and then back up. Um, and I would say that um, community oriented creators are going to be the ones that succeed most because they're creating a community of super fans rather than
Yes.
focusing on a huge reach. Micro influencers will like continue to domineer the space and to the point where like regular people are going to start getting approached because they have high engagement with like their 1,000 followers. So if you are focusing on creating a community where people show up every day and feel like they know you as a creator while maintaining boundaries, then you will find success.
Oh, the boundaries. Yes, it is so true because I completely feel what you're saying. I know that when I see a shopper video again on IG, I'm more apt to pay attention to it if it's coming from somebody that I actually spend a lot of time with, right? So if one of the companies that we use, their products, Ziyun, they just came out with these new lights. These lights are incredible. I've been a nan light person, as you know, from the studio in Ecamm. But if Jared was to come in and say like, "Hey, dude, like there's this new lights from Ziyun. I've been using them in the couple projects that I've been working on, and I really think you should give them a try. Yes, this is a sponsored ad, but you guys know me. I don't just say these things lightly. I am really, really digging this product. I would probably buy one, because it came from Jared or it came from Tom, right? Tom is doing a sponsored post for Sennheiser right now. And I have a bunch of Sennheiser kits, so I know they're good. But knowing the person Tom is and knowing his ethics and how he feels about just, name dropping brands for the heck of it, I would buy something from Tom. And that's because of the community that he's built around himself, not just a brand of, he's Tom Buck and he's a, audio or camera nerd. That is not the same thing. I think there's a whole different vibe when there's a circle of people. And you know what's funny? It's kind of been that way for a minute. When you think about Kicks, right? Kicks was built around people that love the product having a community of we all wear, donkeys, right? We are white on white dunks, fat laces, never a stain. That is an entire community, right? Then there's a community that hand painted dunks, right? You're gonna buy white on whites and you're gonna paint them however you want to paint them. Or there's the Crocs people and there's the Crocs with the charms. Is that right?
The gibbets.
The gibbets. That's the word I was looking for. The gibbets people are different.
Unique.
Unique. Yeah, that's the word we're looking for. Unique. And I knew a girl named Unique once. She used to dance at, never mind. Um, their whole entire different communities, right, of the people that will bless their equipment. So right now, and you might see this where you live in North Click, that the Tacoma community and the Dodge Ram community, in order to get out under the shadow of the F-150 community, are turning all of their stuff into overlands, right? They'll have the awnings, the water things on the side. You know, you can pull this out as a barbecue grill. Like, they turned their Tacomas or their Rams into like Mad Max vehicles, right? And they are completely different from just I drive a Tacoma people. The overland people, they're on the next level. So as a brand for both Dodge and Toyota, they are now competing bigger with the, say, Ford has always been the number one truck because their fans are ravenous. You know, they're out there, and they did it by talking directly to those fans, not by going to a dealership and like, oh, let's make one and hope people want to buy it. Nah, man, the fans did it themselves, and they created
And
entire industries.
I think what I would say as creators to watch for, it's if you watch for job postings from creator centric companies, they will tell you what the creator economy trends will be. So if you look at brands like like a Lincoln Bio brand, they're hiring. There's a ton of brands right now in the creator economy that are hiring community managers. Why? Because community first marketing approaches are the future of big scale marketing for brands. So if you are a creator that knows how to do community based marketing, then you are basically a community based marketer in the eyes of that brand. So looking at job postings on LinkedIn, I mean, not just because you're looking for a new job, but because you want to keep an eye on industry trends is huge. Like Mattel hired a community manager. Like there are a bunch of big, huge name brands that are hiring community first managers. And like you can watch the social engagement on brands like McDonald's, who used to just shitpost on Twitter, fall. Like they're losing their footing. Like it's not about creating clicky things anymore. Like there will always be clickbait on the internet. It will always end up on Facebook. But but you can see these huge creators, even coming from places like TikTok, from a creator I follow named Samantha Joe, who just has a community that's following her where she goes 30 days without fast food. Like those are the things where you can look and use job boards to inform your content creation and how you know what the future of social media is going to look like.
Yep. You know what's funny? Not that long ago, I was telling my community that if you want to end up in a position like us, where we are still our own creator businesses, but we happen to work for an awesome company, you should be creeping into LinkedIn because there are always community manager type positions. And another one that I've been seeing a lot is Discord manager, right? Because
That's
bigger
what I would say
companies
that's the
are,
keyword.
right.
So like if you're looking through community manager stuff and you want to see these huge companies that are actually going to work with creators long term for community management, just search community manager Discord on LinkedIn, or like community manager Twitch. Like they are people that are have their pulse on what's happening in the social landscape, and they are the people that will eventually be working with creators on a larger scale to create higher levels of community engagement. Because what's going to happen when everyone's in 60 discords? When a creator that has its own community does a community takeover one week, it's going to be popping off in the Sega community Discord channel.
You see, I'm doing a community takeover pretty soon. Yes, it is very cool, and I'm always interested to see the brands that are coming in here. So I watch these stuff. A lot of them get automatically emailed to me because I am LinkedIn Prime, and I'm like, nah, man, too late. Look, here's a great one. Warner Digital Music. The one I saw this before. They wanted you to go to New York. I don't want to go back home, but I thought this was pretty cool. And then this is also unique. A lot of you guys may not have heard this, but rather than generate a new sort of online presence for one of the major networks in sports, they bought Bleacher Report, which was already a Twitter oriented and Facebook and YouTube oriented sports network. So Warner guys basically bought them to do content because instead of building a content department, they just bought the talent. So a lot of you guys that are out there doing the stuff that you're doing, you might get an offer that you can't refuse. Someone's going to come in and like, oh, there is a person who is doing camera reviews and camera help and all these myriad camera things, and he does them both in English and he does them in Spanish, and we're trying to expand the Sony market in Mexico and then into South America. So we can go out and hire somebody to generate this content for us, or I've already found a creator that's the entire package. Let's just go buy his show. It could completely happen. So yes, I watched it happen with Bleacher Report. They weren't the only one. They're the one that comes to mind because I was already watching Bleacher Report. But yeah, a lot of guys, instead of hiring content creators, they're just buying entire content brands and just picking it up. So it exists. It exists out there. Yeah, it's crazy. 2K, remember, NBA 2K or some of the other sports games that they generate, they also run some of the Lego games. They're basically hiring somebody to run their gaming community around 2K, and their starting pay is like $120,000. I'm like, man, y'all keep slipping. It made me wish. And when the pandemic started, I started using Ecamm. I stopped playing with my Xbox. I should have kept playing Xbox. But then I want to get to hang out with Caleb. So never mind 2K Sports. Don't call me. Anyway, guys, this is super cool. Caleb, I'd love to see you get a chance to work out and nerd out on a passion thing that's yours. And I know this is going to be dope because I know that the industry needs it, because I get the questions in the DM all the time. And so congratulations on the cool launch. And people, if there's something that you really have in your wheelhouse, and I talked about this, think about what you know, think about what you love, and convert that into an info product, an infotainment product in Caleb's case, because the jokes are there, right? If you could take what you know well enough to talk 30 minutes solid without a script, and that you love enough to talk 30 minutes solid without a script, you could turn that into an infotainment product, and it will probably change the way you do your everyday life. Work with what
And
you
we
know
didn't
and
even
work
get
with
to
what you love.
nerd out. We didn't even get to
Right.
nerd out about all the way that live video creators could actually activate monetarily without ever showing a product on the screen. We didn't even get to nerd out about that.
See, that to me is where the next level is, because everybody's so interested in this YouTube AdSense. It's not that dope, fam. Like, there's ways to do it. And I mean, of course, the one that comes to mind is Amazon Influencer, but they're a little bit tight with their product at this point, right? Because they don't know exactly what they're doing yet. So, and it got worse after they fired a bunch of people. So that slowed the process down. The one thing I will tell people that have been sort of half-stepping their creator process, Paul, you are so funny, Paul. The one thing I see where people have been half-stepping their creator process, realize that a bunch of brand new people that will never say, I'm not a tech person, just got released into the market. Let that sink in real good into your head. For all you people that have been kind of sliding by and then pulling them, but I'm not a tech person, you are setting yourself up for all kind of drama because 80,000 brand new creators just slid into the market who are absolutely tech people. So,
Who built the algorithms?
who built the Oh, Mary, I didn't even think about that. They actually know the inside secrets because they freaking wrote it. And now they're out here competing against y'all. So keep slipping. Keep letting it just slide by, slippity slide. Forget about the troubles in your 9 to 5 and just sail. Keep on doing that. You will be by yourself somewhere sad. So it is definitely time to step up. And maybe this year, and I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, instead of buying a new camera or a new light, maybe it's time for you to get some soft skills blessed up. So subscribe to Caleb's list. That's a good place to start, right?
List, right, and you
It's
could
newsletter.
list, whatever you want to call it, but it's free in your email. Maybe just read your email, baby. That's easy.
Yeah.
Maybe just learn how to read.
Real quick before we go, did you get any of the impetus for this from something like Morning Brew?
I mean, I've gone to a lot of conferences in the last year, thanks to, different places. I've been part of Morning Brew for a while. I also follow Creator Wizard. If you don't follow Creator Wizard, they send weekly brand deals out that you can like apply to be part of. And I think Doc has a referral link that you can use so that Doc gets rewards. But I signed up for them, and they are really great. And I love Justin and the things that he's doing. He has a private course. And so between watching everything that my creators needed in the space that I was working in, what was happening over in like the YouTube live space, kind of unfold over the last year, that's where this came from, a combination of newsletters and needs.
Yeah, Justin's stuff is so good. Like, I like this to get them in my box every week. And, here's 20 space. Just actually day before yesterday or something, 20 paid sponsorships like Sonic Drive-In. Like, what?
He sends them every Thursday.
We got a brand new Sonic Drive-In like up the street for me, like brand new. Like Sonic just came to Hawaii in the beginning of March. And then, so, when you see these, he always has really incredible stuff. I'll show you what it looks like, people. Yeah, and I'll put the link in the description for you to sign up for it. But like, he always sends this stuff out. His podcast is really good. Like, if you're looking for ways to get in when you get in, like there's
your referral link.
There's in there. Huh?
Right there at the bottom. Your referral link's right at the bottom.
At the very bottom.
Or I think it was like on that little section with the lock. Right there.
Oh yeah, there it is. Ta-da! Let's copy this. You guys should check out Creator Wizard right here. Right, Rich? I was going to put 2 Z's because that used to be my blog. my blog was called Sleeve of Wizard because of Borat. When I first meet my wife, she's a good old plow. But now her machine, it hangs like Sleeve of Wizard. That was the name of my blog for the longest time. And I always did it with 2 Z's just out of pure funniness. But yes, definitely check out Justin's stuff and like check out the podcast. The podcast is really good. And of course, sign up for HelloStreamer. It's super cool. I think I might have been the first person to do the stream. Luis and Rich, what are you guys doing over there? Anyway, there you go. It's in there, Kathy. It's in there like swimwear. We got that squared away. Caleb, thank you. Congratulations on the launch. I know this is going to be amazing. I hope it doesn't get so amazing that you don't feel like doing Ecamm no more. Because we got an awesome team right now, so we're not going to let you go.
I don't plan on going
took
anywhere.
His course. What? I didn't know that, girl. All right.
Ooh, I want to hear more.
Yeah, so
send the full review.
Now we're interesting. Yes. Hit the Discord and send me a full review of this here course. Let's get in. Yeah, super interesting. Hadn't he actually? I was telling you, I was thinking about doing this show with my nephew. He turns 13 proper like on the 29th of May, and he is like little mini me. Like he's learning how to DJ. He's making his own beats. He's already a good dancer. He's actually been in a Snoop Dogg video before because he's a good dancer. And then so I want to teach him how to like be a creator and not a consumer because, you know, so many 13-year-olds just watch TikTok. I'm like, bro, if you're going to do this watching stuff, watch all you want. I don't care what your mama say, but you got to create as much as you watch. As long as you're creating, you can watch whatever you want to watch, right? And so I have to fight with his mama about that. But I think it's better that if you get your kids to be creators instead of just consumers, you got a better outlook for them in the long run. And this kid is making quite amazing beats. So I want to do like a podcast like show with him. His name is Kazuma. And I'm thinking about doing Kazuma and Funko. But then his brother will end up joining us in a couple years. I don't have to rebrand it. So I'm trying to come up with a better name that would include both of them. So it'd just be me and cute little Blasian kids. So it'll be super fun. But yeah, you know, YouTube is such a trip when you do content working with kids. So I'm learning all of that stuff now as I plan this out. I got like a month before we dive in. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. Thanks, Cleb. Appreciate you.
Of course.
You guys already know how to find Caleb. If you don't, I don't know what the heck you've been doing. So, for the most part, you can just find anything that is being sent out or tweeted or whatever from the network that shall be nameless. It's Caleb.
That's true.
And then,
I'm the green-haired witch behind the curtain.
HelloStreamer. Did you do Twitter and everything for your HelloStreamer or just the?
Yeah, there's just a Twitter. It's HelloStreamer at HelloStreamer_ at the end.
Okay, there you go. So now you guys know. And what about the old IG? Not there yet?
No, I probably will eventually. There's a LinkedIn, a Twitter, and there'll eventually be a TikTok, and that'll be it. There'll never be an IG.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Right now, the modern move is going back to Facebook, which is so weird. Like right now, all the energy is going back to Facebook, which is extremely weird. If you can't find Caleb, send me $25 and I will contact them. Paul,
If you also still can't find me, you can just subscribe to the newsletter and reply, and it comes to me.
Here, let me edit Paul's comment. There. I love the fact it's so bad that you can edit people's comment, but I love the fact that you can edit people's comment. So this is super fun. Like smile and then be like, boom. That's what Aubrey said. Oh my God. Thank you guys so much. Saturday is up in the air right now, gang, in general. We final days of our wood shop our lease is up, but we got our new building. And if everything goes to plan with all of the vehicles to move such thousands of pounds equipment, my CNC weighs 4,000 pounds. You understand? That's 2 tons. My CNC is 2 tons. But if the trucks get set up, we might be moving the wood shop on Saturday to our brand new, bigger and better workshop. So maybe a stream Saturday night. You got to watch the calendar. If not, I'll see you guys next Tuesday in there like swimwear. Thank you, Cleb. I appreciate you. Everybody, enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you on the flip side. Mahalo.
City of mine.